Hey, how is it going? We're live now. I'm gonna see if I can stop being blurry. Stop it. That's okay. So, I'm live on YouTube over here. Hello, and TikTok over here. Hello. I hope you guys are doing great. We're gonna do a channel timeless collective reading today, as well as probably a full channel mode session after that. And yeah, that's what's going on here. I'm gonna try and turn on live chat on YouTube so I can see what people are saying. Okay. Happy Sunday. Hey, Brett. I'm gonna try not to cough directly into the mic if I can help it. And if anyone's watching on YouTube, I hope you can hear me all right. Hope everything's going well with that. It should be good though. Hey, Michelle. Good to see you too. Good to be here live. So hopefully TikTok you can hear me. I'm gonna adjust a little bit. So if you're watching on YouTube after this is live, there will be timestamps in the description for you to jump right to the reading, because I might be like talking to people, saying hello, adjusting microphones and things like that while I'm doing all this. Okay. Hey, Bargsy, you can hear me? Perfect. Glad to hear it. Cosmic Babe, glad. Hi. Sorry, I thought you were commenting on what I said, but you were saying hi. So hi. Hey, Lindsay. Great to see you here. Hey, Melody on TikTok. Hey, Shauna on TikTok with the wavy emoji. How's it going? Cool. Okay, so I guess that's enough hanging out for, not that I hung out that long, but they're saying to just start the reading. So I guess we'll just start the Channel Timeless Collective reading and see what my spirit guides, the angels, and source would like to bring through for you guys. And of course, again, it's for you whenever you're seeing this, whether it's now live or it's in the future. And of course, yeah, I guess that's it. So let's see what would be highest limits to come through for you today here. So right away, they're just starting with like a leprechaun and like a four-leaf clover and all that symbolism. So let's see what's going on here. They're just giving me the words like lucky break. So either you've had a lucky break coming into this, I feel like that's just going to continue and get better, or this next month coming up here, whenever you're seeing this, so if you're watching this live, that's going to be August. It's like a lucky time is what I'm getting for a certain number of you. There might be two different like groups I'm about to talk to here. So about half of you, it's going to be a lucky time, and don't worry about if you're like, I don't know about that. Don't worry about it. We'll get to that. So half of you, it's going to be a lucky time here. Like things are just, you're getting lucky breaks. Things are kind of swerving in your favor more. It's kind of like if things haven't panned out for a while, like you think they should have, or you're like, come on, universe, I'm a good person, help me out. Well, a couple things on that. If you resonated with that last thing I just said, or like, hey, I'm a good person, help me out, universe, totally understand. It might be time to dig into your beliefs about like receiving, what you're worthy of, what you deserve, even if you consider yourself a good person, and just delve into those stories and try to adjust some of those things. And maybe do some energy healing type stuff if you're into that, around like worthiness and things like that. And also like just dive deep into like other things that ping for you around that topic, whether it's receiving, abundance, having what you deserve, I guess you could say, because it's time to do the self-healing about that. So for others of you, and in addition to that, I guess, I feel like I've said it a million times already right now, but there are going to be lucky breaks that kind of just help you out. So that was for like one half. For the other half of you that I mentioned earlier regarding like lucky breaks and things like that, there's a new path coming in that you're going to be called to, and that's going to be your lucky break. So it might be a little bit different than things just like swerving your way. It's more like there's this thing you're specifically like doing or called to, you might even be working towards it, or it just kind of lands in your lap, but it's an opportunity you might need to work towards or put some effort into perhaps. And it could just be like filling out a job application, as well. And that's going to be what leads to your lucky break, or to you succeeding more, or to a path of luck is what I'm hearing for you. So that's really cool here. There's a bit more with the leprechaun though. We're not done here. The leprechaun now has like riddles. He has like 3 riddles. It kind of reminds me of like the Sphinx or whatever in certain old stories. Like I think they're mythological stories. And let me see what's up with this here. So I'm not like a big like tests person. I mean, I was good at tests in school and stuff, but what I mean by like test person is like I a lot of people will talk about like, oh, the universe is testing you. Oh, the universe is testing you. Oh, the angels are testing you. For me, it's like, well, they already kind of know if I'm ready for this or not. They already kind of know what's going on. So like, do they really need to test you? Like, no, not really. It's in my, as far as where I'm at with it. And for some reason, if you're someone who is more someone who believes, well, let me sit with them on it. If there were tests, you passed them, I guess, or you've kind of overcome some hurdles that it seems like maybe the universe threw at you, or that you just kind of had to go through for self-healing to be ready for something. So you guys are actually ready to receive, which is really cool. So okay, which camp am I talking to here? I'm hearing something along the lines of like, you've overcome hurdles you need to and gotten to a certain place with self-healing where like you're more ready for abundance. So you're going to start seeing that sometime in the near future here. I heard something like next summer, but we're already kind of like in summer. So maybe that's for some of you in like the Southern hemisphere, you know, if you're watching this in a couple months from now. So I want to circle back and get to a good summary so we can move on, because I feel like I've been like talking on this thing for a second here. One of the things they're saying is like a next sentence is like, you don't need any more tests. So if you've been a test person, or maybe even if you believe in that, like you don't need any more. It's just, and they might be giving you permission to kind of drop that and see what else is possible for you. That's like a better way to live, is part of why they talked about that part. And the rest of it, it'll make sense in the future. So they're kind of moving on. They're showing me, we're still in leprechauns. There's the Lucky Charms and Marshmallow Guy, the cereal, if you're familiar with that. And there's also like a tiger that was showing up here. So what's up with this here? Okay, so this is actually a really good message. So this is for everybody. And they're having me kind of borrow from something I heard from someone else, and they're just saying, oh, it's the same message for them. So I'm going to have to like paraphrase this a little bit. However, there's one time I was watching something and the person was talking about how like, it's like maybe you've been living life and it's been like life without the Lucky Charm marshmallows. You've just had just the cereal without the marshmallows, but now you're getting a whole bunch of the marshmallows and it's like, it's really good and like you can't get enough of it. It's like you're finally getting rewarded, or that really cool part of life coming in. And should I tell you guys this next thing I'm about to tell you? Yes. Okay. Thanks, train. If you can hear the train through the microphone. And that's like a yes from the universe, you know, the train horns, the confirmation, the car alarms and alarms and things like that. So anyways, that was a message I heard from someone else right before things started happening for me on like TikTok, where I started growing a following and people were like liking it and commenting on it. And I was actually getting some traction on social media. I was like, oh, cool. That's the marshmallows. So the marshmallows might be something similar for you. It might be something completely different. That's still really good for you. But that's one of the messages they have with all this like leprechaun agenda. That's silly. A silly joke from them. But you know, this leprechaun message kind of thing that's going on here, where you're kind of getting more of what you deserve in a good sense, in more rewards, and again, things more going your way. Or to summarize, you get a path that is an opportunity that gets you to good luck and the marshmallows and all that. So moving on now, we're good. We covered all that. So there was a tiger. We'll get to that. They're showing me a halo next, and there's this angel like crafting halos. It's almost like a forge, or like a blacksmith forge. He has an anvil. He's like crafting these halos, and he's like looking at them. He's like, nah, and he kind of throws it into this pile of like junk halos, which is interesting. So what's going on with this message here? So cool messages. I'm just getting you guys are being crafted for success in whatever area matters for you. Like if you're retired and like you don't care about, you know, career or anything like that, it could be like success with like bringing in new friendship, or bringing in like a love situation, if that's what you care about, or with a project you're working on that you're really passionate about, or a book, or just something, you know, something you're trying to be successful at. And the universe has been bringing you through a lot of the lessons you need to have the things you'd like to have for the vast majority of you. And you don't need to go through as many lessons anymore is what I'm getting for this crowd, which is great place to be, because then you can kind of just start to receive. It's a good transition. It's a transition out of like more difficulty than you maybe need to go through. It's a transition out of like unnecessary lessons or burdens. It's a transition into a bit more like, oh, can drop the weights, we're out of training, I can breathe, and let's go actually do this thing and like receive and have a better time, is the way I would phrase it. So that is pretty much what's happening with that. It's like you've been forged for, you're not a halo that's being discarded, by the way. You're not a dilapidated halo, to clarify. If you were like, but he said the angel was throwing them out. Not you. However, to go to where they'd like to go next. Okay. Being forged for success, you have been. There is success on the way, which is really cool. You're one of the good halos, so glad we got that out of the way here. So the discarded halo pile, that was representing the lessons and some of the things you've gone through to get to where you are. So it's not like they aren't valuable. You also just like don't need to like hold on to maybe the strife from that, or all the pain from that, or all the emotions like that. So for some of you who feel a bit more, this won't be all of you, traumatized, like maybe it's a time to look into, okay, what's going to help you move any like stuck emotion from past challenges out of your body like that? Like what's going to help you to heal and move on and be in a better place? That's only going to apply to about half of you though. The other half is good and already worked on that or knows what they're doing with all that. So that's good. So we're moving on to the tiger now. They're highlighting the tiger's stripes for you guys, and which can, it's like a hot rod outside or something, vroom vroom. And they're highlighting, yeah, it was about uniqueness is usually what shows up with like tiger's stripes or striped animals. That is oftentimes a message. So let's see what's up with this one. So the message is your value is in your uniqueness and the unique flavor you bring to the world. Even if you're doing things that are similar compared to what other people are doing, like your unique flavor in that thing matters and makes a difference. So it's about not snuffing out the uniqueness that you are and really celebrating it and remembering that it makes a difference and changes the world in a sense, or can change the world. So what is the unique flavor you have that really matters to you, matters to others, matters to the work or whatever you projects or art or whatever it is that you bring to the world? How can you bring that out more and like consciously celebrate that more? So if someone like a friend points something out to you that's unique to you, can you be like, oh yeah, I so appreciate that? Because I think sometimes some people are trained in like recoiling, like, oh no, I can't stand out, or people will hate me and attack me, or bad things will happen. And it's just not necessarily the truth. It really doesn't have to be true at all. And oftentimes people will really love us and celebrate us for those things. The thing that's popping in as a reminder are like the people on social media, like if it's on like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever, like there's sometimes people who like they'll show up on your feed and they're just being themselves and like screaming about something, but it's like hilarious or like really it's like something about the way they do it's really like quirky and like charming and, you know, attractive or whatever. I'm like, or whatever it is. And that's like them winning by them being themselves and owning their unique selves and value. And if you're a person who's more subdued, like you don't have to film a video like screaming into TikTok because I must be unique. You can bring that value through however you are, you know, naturally, and trust that that's enough, or that bringing that out in the right ways will be valuable to people somewhere, somehow. So yeah, just I guess that's part of the message here. Just a reminder there about celebrating your uniqueness and the value that brings here. There's now, oh my God, what is up with leprechauns today? I'm not mad, universe. I just, so leprechaun showing up again, like above this tiger. He's like riding this tiger now. So I guess your good luck is predicated on you being yourself right now. That's the message I'm getting for this crowd right now. So I guess that's another incentive to own who you are, own your uniqueness, and be the difference that you naturally are and all that. So, okay, let's see what's next here. There's next a golden path is showing up here. And The way it's showing up for me is like they're saying you've been on a golden path for some time. And the golden path is it's bringing abundance to you. It's working with your unique nature. It's walking the path that is for you, I guess you could say. And they're just saying stay on that path. So whatever's pinging for you, whatever's hitting you intuitively is like, oh, it's this thing. Like, yes, that for most of you. And if nothing's pinging, then hang in there. Like you'll be shown what it is at the right time and you'll know what the path is. But the other message with this is like you are being forced in some ways to walk your path, even if for some of you it might be a little bit painful because, again, it's different from everyone else, or it's not bringing the immediate rewards that you think you should have from it. That doesn't mean it's the wrong path or that it won't pay off in the future, if that makes sense. So maybe Spirit had you, as an example, like write a book and you're like, okay, I wrote the book and I put it out there and I had one reader. Yay, this sucks. Like, and you don't have to go to the it sucks place. You could be like, well, I really appreciate that I have a reader and I got a good review. I really appreciate that. It's just like that book might be for people in the future, and or it could be a stepping stone that's like really progresses you into the things that are going to be successful, and it's not wasted. It's not like you messed up by doing that. It's just like sometimes that's the stepping stone and the rewards are in the future. It doesn't mean you messed up. So if you need to hear that, I hope that's helpful to keep in mind as well. And it doesn't mean that book won't like sell really well. To go back to that example, in the future, it could just be like that's ready for 5 years from now when you do something else that gets more traction, and then people find the book and like, or you tell people about the book and they're like, oh, I love this book too. And then it kind of goes how it's supposed to go and finds its people and things like that. So, and sometimes you are ahead of your time. There's a whole thing they'd like me to tell you about that. And I'm going to be, just to give credit where credit's due, I got this from, it's the book Write Riches for You, and it's more of an access consciousness book, and that's a whole other story, of course. However, they talk about like when you have projects you're doing, you can like, and you can do this in a number of different ways. If you are good with like channeling and talking to the consciousness of things, you can like ask the project itself like, oh, is now the time to put you into action? And then the project would be like, yes, now's the time, or it might be like, no. And then you could be like, okay, will you please tell me when it's time? And then like write it down, the idea, and put it in a drawer or put it on your phone. And at the right time, it's going to get your attention, or maybe you'll find it and it'll be like, it's time, or maybe you'll just get the message when you wake up one day. But that's one way to avoid doing things where you're like ahead of your time with it, or like the thing's ahead of its time. Because if like you make a course, but it's like 20 years too soon for everyone else, it's just going to sit there for 20 years. And you could have been putting that time into something that it was its time. So for some reason, they wanted me to put all that your way as an idea. And if you don't operate that way, or that's not your thing where you like talk to the consciousness of things, you can like ask, there's other ways to do it. Like you can ask your spirit guides, you can ask your intuition with however your intuition works. You can just ask like your body pendulum, if that's what you do, like, oh, is now the time for this? Nope. Okay. Would it be, okay, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to ask the universe to tell me when it's the right time. Like there's different ways. So just do what works for you. But keep that in mind with projects and things. And maybe that's going to help you select a project if you're really lost in the sauce with like, I've got 20 million ideas and I don't know which one to do and I want to do them all, but it doesn't work when I do them all because I never do anything and I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to go watch Netflix. And we've all sung that song in one way, shape, or form before, or maybe 90% of the people here. And maybe if you did that, something like that, you'd be like, okay, these 2 projects say it's time, so I can shelve the 99 other ones until they say it's time. Or whatever. I know there's a certain, yeah. So anyways, let's go to the next message they'd like to get to you guys here. So speaking of books and stuff, they are showing me a book, but this book is like going in reverse. It's like a, like a Japanese book or like a manga or whatever, where they read right to left or something. So what's up with this reverse book here? So, interestingly enough, the message is it's time to let go of your story the way it has been thus far. You don't need it for the future. So what does that mean? The example I'm hearing is someone who goes like, they say to themselves that they are like always bad with like women, for example, and that's their story. Like it never works out. People always break up with them. and it's part of their identity at this point. And the way I'm getting to talk about it is it's possible to, I guess, quantum leap or hit a different timeline or like change things, or the way I've heard other people talk about it with things like this is change tracks, where it's like the past kind of no longer applies to like who you are or what's possible. So in some ways, by holding on to the past, it's almost kind of limiting, if that makes sense. So one, I'd be a little bit careful of identifying with like negative things in the first place, where it's like, oh, it always goes like this. Well, maybe it's time to be like, what will it take for this to change, universe? What will it take for it to stop going like this? And see what starts to show up differently when you're putting different like intentions or asks out there about these things. What I'm getting for this crowd, though, so for the vast majority of you, there's going to be a small subset I'll talk to in a second after this particular message. Like, you've changed enough, again, I'm going to reiterate it, where the past doesn't have as much of a grip on you. And it's possible to shake off a lot of like looser patterns or things that you don't like, and just like put in new habits or put in new directions, or have something else show up. So keep doing whatever you're doing as far as work you're doing on yourself, because that's really helping. And don't think your old story has to be the way things turn out. Like, keep inviting in something new that you'd actually like to see. And that's kind of the work in some ways. Like, work on yourself, work on your world, is undoing those old patterns, identities, sometimes beliefs, shifting yourself energetically, putting in place what needs to be there if necessary to change things, and then off in a new direction, you know? So for the smaller subset that I mentioned just a second ago, what's up with you guys here? You're kind of in a different realm where what I'm getting is like you've done the work on yourselves and you're waiting for things to shift. And now is the time when they do. So, and good work for you guys is what I'm hearing too. So let me listen to Source and the angels for a second here. I feel like for you guys, you're already familiar with what I'm talking about to some degree. And maybe you're like, what gives, because things haven't been shifting. But I'm getting now is the time, like the next month or so from when you're seeing this. And definitely over the next year, like a lot of those stories will be rewritten. So really good work. That's awesome. Okay, so that was a different direction than I was expecting, but I like that. So I was almost expecting to talk to a subset of people who are really sad and like didn't do their work, and that's not the case, so I like that. Anyways, let's go to the next thing here. There's a pig pie. Okay, this is a different direction than pig usually goes, because now there's like this hero, but it's from more like like a dude with like armor and a sword kind of a hero, like something out of like an anime or like a video game, like Fire Emblem is the one they said, or a video game like that has swords and heroes and stuff. And in this instance, this hero seems or feels separated from, and I know it's a him showing up in the visual, but it doesn't matter what your gender is. It's a, in theory, it's more of an agender hero that applies to you. Okay, so this hero is sitting and they are on the other side of this fence looking at this pig. They feel disconnected from their abundance, but they're also kind of looking in the wrong places. It's like they'll go out and they'll do all these quests and they're like to get all these rewards, but then it's like they're asking the wrong people for, give me a second, I'll get to where this is going. They're like looking for the wrong things for rewards. They're talking to the wrong people for it. They're like even like doing the wrong things to get abundance. It's like maybe there's like a quest on the board and it says, okay, please go do this diplomacy mission. And they're like, no, I'm going to go kill goblins. And they go kill goblins and they come back and they're like, where's my gold? And everyone's like, we didn't ask you to do that. We didn't care about the goblins. So as far as like the message for you guys here, okay, here's it. Here's what I'm getting. Make sure you're doing, like if you have a business, this could be strong for, or even if you have like a job or work, or maybe this has to do with like family or friends for you in a different angle, I would kind of make sure you're doing things that people are actually asking for or like requesting, and not just assuming like oh, they want this, and then doing it, and then being upset when they don't like it or they're not as into it as you thought they would be. So, because different people can value different things. So you might have a partner, for example, who really values when someone does the dishes, and like it matters so much to them. So if you did the dishes, it would just make it just they'd be so happy. And then if you're like ignoring that and you're like, no, all people that are this gender that I date, they only like it when I vacuum the carpet. But maybe they don't care about vacuuming the carpet, or maybe they like vacuuming the carpet. So you're like vacuuming the carpet and you're like, oh, they're going to be so happy. I can't wait to get all my rewards from this and all my brownie points with this person I'm dating. And then like they just are just kind of mad you didn't do the dishes, and then you're upset. But it's like, did you really listen to what they were saying or what they valued? And I guess this could go to business, because it's like with marketing, it's like, are you presenting, hopefully not preventing, are you presenting the offerings that people want from you or like resonate for them, and that they, yeah, so you kind of get it at this point. It's like, what are people actually asking for? And like, can you deliver that as long as it's for the highest good? And maybe you have to find the happy medium of like, I've heard this in business courses, like what works for you, what you'd like to do, what your community really likes, and some people would say like what your business needs as well, and link those kind of three things up. And whatever that thing in the middle is that serves all those is like a really great like thing, that would get this hero rewarded. So I got that from Lee Harris, the three things, like what does your business need? What do you need? What does your customer need? And the one that, when I was listening to that, the one that they added in for me, my spirit guides was a fourth one of like, what does source need? And what is source asking for? So for me, I guess it's, and I'm not even, hopefully I do this well. I maybe don't do this perfectly yet, but hopefully I'm at least moving towards it, or I'll set the intention to move towards it. So what do you need? What does your business need? What does your community or customer need? What does source need? And the intersection of the four for me would be like a really good thing. So, but again, don't think that's only for business. Like if you have a job, it's like, what is your boss actually asking for? What do they actually value? And I'm going to get into something else right now. I know sometimes with these topics, I kind of am maybe outside of like reading territory. It's more like, here's this thing they'd like to say. That's like not really like, oh, you're going to be rich. It's like, here's this thing to help you out. However, it's something I've been meaning to talk about and post about for a while. It's been on my mind. And it's this thing where people talk about like doing the right thing. But it's like, once I explain it, you'll get it. Because like when it comes to doing the right thing or doing everything right, it's like, according to who is an important question. Because like one story I heard, there was this person, this is where it's going to start to make sense. There's this person who, I heard this completely secondhand, but it really pinged for me with this whole thing that I'm about to talk to you about. He went to this party. He had some like test or something he had to take afterwards, or maybe he was enrolling for the army. I don't remember, but he went to this like college party or something. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to do everything right, quote unquote. I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do anything like crazy. I'm just going to go and socialize a bit and like stay away from recreational, drugs or anything like that. And then I'm going to be really in a good place for my test or whatever tomorrow. So he goes to the party, and he's staying away from, he's doing everything right according to, society, I guess. And then at some point he's on the sidewalk talking to some people, and then they start walking, and he trips and falls and breaks his arm. And he's like, I did everything right. He was really upset. But it's like, okay, let's rewind a second. You did everything right according to who? Because maybe, and I'm not saying that's wrong to like try to be responsible. I think that's great. But maybe if you were like talking to your spirit guides or your intuition, and your intuition was like, don't go to that party in the first place, that would have been the correct move instead of like the doing everything right according to XYZ judgments or projections. Or maybe he'd go to that party and his spirit guides would be like, no, have a beer. Go drink, as long as he's of legal age, right? And, or like go do this silly thing in the backyard at the slip and slide or whatever, And maybe it doesn't seem like the right thing, but it's actually the correct thing, because then he wouldn't have fallen and broken his arm. You understand? So it's one of those things where it's tricky, because we have all these like judgments and projections on like doing everything right. But it's like when it comes down to it, I'm going to say it one more time, right according to who? Like that might not be the correct best course of action. It reminds me of another story I just heard where it was about auditioning for like movies or like or shows, or it was about acting. And this one woman I was watching on social media was talking about how there would be like someone who shows up and they're obviously on their game, like they obviously like practice, they obviously like prepared, they got ready in the morning, like they were good to go. And they like, and she was like, yeah, I watched it and like it was okay, it was good, like yeah, they showed up, they were professional, whatever. And then there was this other person who just showed up, they just rolled out of bed. You know, like they were just haggard as AF, like, you know, they clearly just like were not like prepared. But the second that the camera hit like action and they started acting, it was like super magnetic and just like really good. So it's like then they, you know, then they went with the magnetic person over the person who was doing everything right. So again, it begs the question, like what actually matters, as opposed to what does everyone say is right. Okay, so that's what I mean in a couple different angles when I talk about this message. And for me, one, like if you would like some ideas as far as how to start to move towards like doing what matters and what's correct instead of what's according to people's judgments or projections, like the right thing, quote unquote, it'd be one, I manifest yourself going that direction. Like what will it take for me to do what actually matters and what's actually going to make the difference, instead of just assuming this is the right, this set of action is the right set of actions is the right thing to do and just doing that and assuming it's going to work out. Like what's actually going to matter and how can I focus on those things? And I mean, that's one thing too, trusting your intuition and channeling, of course, because that's going to help with like everything usually. Always is, at least in my experience and what I would say, it's like, okay, if you check in with your spirit guides, do they say like, yeah, stay on this like ultra do everything right train? Or are they saying, because maybe that is the right, correct thing to do in a certain situation. Or are they saying like, you know what, we'd actually like you to focus on this instead and just get really good at this. And that's going to make the difference. You don't need to worry about this stuff over here. So, and the other thing, you can focus on your energies and getting yourself like energetically in a really great place where you're just like attracting things and like things are just happening for you based on like your energetic fields and like the place you've gotten to as a person with your self-development. That's going to be a key for some of you. And there's probably more and more I could delve into. I honestly didn't like that question, that whole thing I just went into just came to me as something I just started flowing. So I haven't taken a ton of time to sit with like, what are the best ways to do what's correct instead of the right thing? So maybe it's a good thing we talked about it today. Anything else from them though on it? You know, I think, what was that? Calling it in, manifesting it, and like working with your intuition are great first steps or ways to start working towards it. I'll sit with it and see if anything else percolates, you know, in the future, and maybe I'll post another video if you're interested in that. So let's move on. Otherwise, I'm gonna beat that to a pulp. So the next thing they're showing me is a fly swatter. And we kind of touched on this earlier, but they're showing it as like this angel with a fly swatter swatting at flies. And they're just saying now is the time to dig into like negative beliefs. Like the one they're giving is an example of someone who's going, they think like they can't make it, whatever making it is for them, whether it's business or show business or music or whatever. And it's like, it's just like not even true per se. It's just like a weird like limiting belief they might have. Like now's a good time to dig into that stuff and kind of sort through it and see like where it might be hindering you. It's really important for your future, and you don't even have to go like ham right now. It's just good to start like journaling on it or start to get aware of it or start to look at some resources that could help you with those things, whatever the right thing is for you, because different things might be different keys that unlock the correct thing for them and, you know, the right ways for them. So I'd really consider digging into it though, because for some of you, that's the only thing holding you back. And it would be sad if that you just let that hold you back and you never worked on it your whole life. And it could have been a really big thing for you. So consider it, you know. Next thing they're showing me is grasshoppers. So our good friend Grasshopper's back from the dead. Just kidding. What's up with the grasshopper here? So it's really weird. This grasshopper is like staring at like a TV or a computer, but the computer has like the blue screen of death on it. If you remember that from like Windows machines where they get the blue screen and then they don't work or whatever, which Actually, now that I think about it, a lot of computers have come back from the blue screen of death. So how much of a death is it really? Unless we just have computer Jesus walking around, running Windows 95 from, just hanging out. It's your Dell computer from 1993 in your grandpa's office or something. But terrible joke. Sorry. Well, anyways, coming back to it. So this grasshopper is really worried about things that aren't working. Like the computer's not working. He's almost like mad at himself. He's like slapping himself. He's like fighting everyone around him because he's irritated. He really kind of just needs to take a break and look at what is working and appreciate that. And like all the things that are going to work are going to come to him. So if that's you, you're staring at things that aren't working. You're really mad. You're really irritated. Totally understand. I totally hear you. At the same time, like what is working? And can you acknowledge that and appreciate that? Maybe take a day and just write down like what's everything that's working, and can you appreciate that? And the more you're like in that energy, the more you'll be attracting better, is what I'm hearing for this you guys for this reading. So stop staring at the blue screen of death and complaining. There's like another computer on the way, one that works and is really great and powerful and stuff in this metaphor of a visual. So last thing they'd like to get to, they're showing me like a glacier, an iceberg. They're showing me a Pokemon, but it's like an iceberg Pokemon. It's like a big icy boy, B-O-I, boy. And let me see and then there's also a hot air balloon. There's so much going on. Let me sit with the message here. So sometimes things kind of go out of control and it seems like they're slipping away from you, but it's actually a good thing. It's like maybe you had a project and you were keeping it all nice and controlled and it was moving really slowly and you just had it secret on your computer. My secret plan to dominate the world and win at life and things. And it's just like moving too slowly. It's too controlled. It's not allowed to breathe. And then at some point, maybe you show it to a friend and they're like, oh, this is great. We need to show everyone. And all of a sudden it's just like, poof, it's just like, it's everywhere, but people really love it. And it just kind of snowballs out of your control. This is just an example, by the way. And maybe that person would be really fraught, but maybe that like actually needs to happen for them to succeed and like get a move on with like actually getting it to the world instead of just like slowly like 10 years later they release it, but then it's like too late by then or something like that. Not to freak you out or anything. That's just what I heard is for this example. So that's kind of because like there was this mountain and then there was this like top of this mountain that was like an iceberg and it just started sliding down the mountain like away from you and you're like, whoa. But it's like it's actually in your favor. So if things are going out of control, consider that maybe it's in the universe's hand and it's in a better place and it's actually going to serve you in some way, shape, or form. So I'd kind of let things snowball out of control. A good example of this could be like something going viral on social media and then like all of a sudden your like website blows up and things like are just like crazy and like you're getting way too many emails in your inbox and you can't keep up with it. And maybe you could just hire someone to help you, at that point. It's like, it's kind of out of control at that point, but is that really a bad thing? It's like, yeah, you can't control who sees it. You can't control what they say in the comments. You can't control the emails they send you, but does it matter? And what about all the really good things that could come out of that? Like maybe that's what gives you the next push to the next level in your business. And then like that really sustains you for a long time and allows you to grow to where you'd like to go. So hope that all makes sense as a message. I would just kind of let things that slip out of your grasp and have a life of their own continue to do that and trust that maybe they know what they're doing. Even I know it sounds weird to talk about like projects or different things in our life as like they know what they're doing. However, if you think of like source is everything, source can work through everything, or everything has a consciousness, then they kind of, or maybe not even just kind of, like they do. So, and it's fun when you operate that way to see like what things do and what they choose and like just kind of the magic around it that happens when you're allowing everything to be conscious and do its thing in a sense. And it's never like bad or like out to get you, by the way. I wouldn't be like afraid of it, to my knowledge. So that's it. That's all I'd like to say. I hope this helped as a reading. I hope it resonated to whatever was for your highest good. So much sense. Thanks, Sarah C's. So glad to hear it. They would like to do the full channel mode thing. So I'm going to do that soon. I'm going to give TikTok just a heads up, as I do pretty much every time I do this, where I think we'll be good because we've still got about like 20 minutes. That was awesome. Thanks, Brandon. You're welcome, Simone. Good to see you, and I'm so glad to hear it. It was awesome. So after about like an hour and some change on TikTok, you're welcome, Leo. Love you too. Good to see you. What happens on TikTok after an hour and change is it goes into this thing where it's like, are you still here? Solve this CAPTCHA. Solve the little puzzle. Right, can you solve the puzzle? That's right. Solve the puzzle. And it taunts you. However, when I'm in full channel mode, my eyes are typically closed, and sometimes they'll like open my eyes and I'll catch it, and other times it'll just cut out. And usually when it cuts out, like it's also happened where it's just like the perfect timing for it to cut out. Spot on and heard. Thanks. You're welcome, Lizette. Thanks for letting me know. You're welcome, Mama Sunshine. So like one time it just like cut out with this perfect message, and it was like we have said everything we need to say. It was like done. I'm like, oh, I love that. However, if I'm still going and that happens on TikTok, just jump over to YouTube, and I'm live on YouTube too, and you can see it then, or you'll see it on the replay on YouTube if you'd like to. Thank you. That auditioning example was wild because I'm casting a show right now. Ooh, very cool, Whittaker. Good luck with that. I hear ya. Well, for some reason, the thing I would like to say to you, Rebecca, is good luck to you. Like authentically wishing you good luck to you regarding everything. And I guess I'll just ask Source to help you work things out at the right time for you in the right ways. And, you know, it might sound really trite and not what you want to hear, but sometimes that is things coming together in a weird way is when they kind of flip upside down. So I don't know. I know it's going to get better for you, so hang in there. I am wishing you grace through all that. Thank you, Brandon. That was awesome. You're welcome, Mona Lynn Martin. I'm so glad it was awesome. I appreciate that. I'm glad that's the reaction. That was awesome. I feel like I'm doing something right then. Or correct, as per the earlier thing. Oh. And we have I'm not sure if this mic picks it up on YouTube, but we have a slight interlude of my cat screaming at the door. I don't think he's going to stop. Okay, so love your style of channeling. Super fun. Thank you. I appreciate it. Of course, Leo. But you know what? They hear you right there. If you just type it out or just say it, they'll hear you. But yes, absolutely at the same time. The book part resonated. Perfect. Ooh, cool. Okay, they're like, you need to start. So I'm going to start the full channel mode session now. So let's see where they'd like to go for this. And, you know, yeah, so should I tell them? A couple things to keep in mind. It's like, yeah, they have the message for you. There's also the energetic transmission from Source that only works for the highest good, that does like things like energy healing for the highest good. And it can open your third eye and intuition as well when you watch the channel material and things like that. So that's part of what all this is. And either way, I hope this is helpful, and all the ways that would be for the highest good for it to be helpful. So here we go. Give me like, however many seconds. Welcome. Well, this crowd is in a bit of a transformation, we would say. You are definitely transforming out of the old world and into the new, except this is at a new level, and this is very up. Sometimes the movements you make are a bit more lateral or a bit more physical. This is a very etheric transformation where maybe you can't even put your finger on it for some of you, why you feel different, why things feel different. Well, you are actually changing the vibration in some ways of the way your soul is shining through you and showing up in the world around you. So you are actually changing the vibration of the world around you, which can allow you to glitch, is the word we will use, in a sense, into a higher reality. So we have brought through messages on this in some other work that is yet to be released. So you may see some of the videos in the readings Brandon facilitated, channeling us, where we talk about glitching into a higher reality. However, we also wanted to make sure this information, this way of viewing things, got public to this crowd because it will help you make sense of your world around you immensely. It is not a literal glitch like a computer glitch. For the world is not really a simulation. We realize that's a theory that's floating around even in scientific communities or hippie communities. And that's not quite the way it works. It is real, you could say, which is not a bad thing. At least you know what you are experiencing is not a waste of time, if you will. So when we speak of glitching, it is almost like raising the vibration so quickly or changing the vibration so dramatically that your reality has no choice but to change and follow suit. However, with the rapidity with which things are upshifting and changing, it can be a bit more like you wake up in an entirely different world sometimes, or you go to your office or workplace and the entire vibe is different, and there might even be new people and old people left, and you are like, what changed here? How did this get so dramatically different? Well, that is in part the vibrational quote-unquote glitch that we are speaking of. For some of you, it will just be surprises coming in that dramatically shift your world. It could be money, for example, that comes in. It could be a new love relationship that comes in that's dramatically different than your past lovers that proves to you some of the work you've been doing on yourself. However, some of it may just be a grace and a surprise and a gift that goes far beyond what you were expecting with the work you put into things. And that would be, as the way we will phrase it, this go around, a quote-unquote glitch for you. You've shifted the frequency, you've glitched to a new reality. And this will be happening the world over for many people who do the work, whether they identify as light workers or healers or just people interested in spirituality who do authentically show up and work on themselves. They will be able to glitch their reality into something entirely different. We realize this is a bit amorphous. It's not as grounded. It's not as seemingly physical. And in some ways, that's correct. It's something that once you get the energy of it and experience it, you will know exactly what we're speaking of. It's a little bit different than quantum leaping, as quantum leaping is just a fancy way to say jumping timelines. And things do go beyond quantum. It is not just physical quantum done. There's more to this universe in many layers. So don't think you know every layer if you are familiar with the quantum, though it is helpful to go beyond just the physical representation of what's seen and consider what could be beyond. This is a bit more of a forced maneuver of things changing when we speak of glitch. So now that that is out of the way, let's talk about your heart and your heart frequency. For the way to a positive glitch right now, one of the ways is actually through your heart and evolving that heart center of yours. You may have noticed, a good portion of you, in the past year or so, or even longer, that your heart has been healing, forcing memories to the surface of past heartaches or individuals who were involved in heartaches or situations involved in heartaches for you. You may have noticed that your heart is releasing. That is because the earth is calling for heart energy. And people who are operating from and living in their hearts and souls on the planet. One, in some ways, when you are living from your soul and in your soul, which you can start to get there through things like channeling your spirit guides, working with your intuition more, sitting with your soul, inviting your soul in every day. There are many different ways to do this. However, when you're doing that, you are actually bringing divine frequencies to the planet more and more soul energy, which wakes people up. If you would like to fast track the planet waking up, look at your own awakening and the energies you are bringing to your day-to-day, and look at where you're operating from. If you are operating from soul, divine guidance, channeling, intuition, or more of a soul-led place, perfect. You are right on track to helping humanity evolve and get to a higher realm, you could say, on Earth. Not necessarily ascending off the planet and disappearing into the 12th dimension, as was theorized decades ago, but rather a more physical ascension where the divine realms are brought through the individuals here to transform what is around them. That, in some ways, is at least part of your role. And the heart. is a place where your soul can really come through as an incarnate being. In some ways, that is where the seat of your soul is. Whether you wish to take that literally or metaphorically, we would say it is a bit more energetic and metaphorical. So as you work on your heart and open that and allow your soul through, you bring the energy the earth needs. The earth rewards you in a sense. Because that is part of your mission for many of you here. Seeding that heart energy, bringing that soul energy through, bringing those divine realms through. So it's also going to raise the vibration so quickly you'll be able to glitch things around you. The key is you have to focus on you in part, not just your outer circumstances. You really have to look at what's going on in you in order to achieve that shift. So ask yourself, if anything, and perhaps ask this intuitively, or ask your spirit team, if anything, what is blocking your heart energy? And you living from your heart more, in a way that's aligned for you, in a way that's correct for you. And what do you need to move into heart energy more? And remember, even just your energies and the place you're in, that has an impact in a number of ways. As an example for others, in an as above, so below way, where you are directly impacting the collective, the universe in some instances, with how you operate. And you also begin to seed that energy in people around you, almost like a contagious sort of thing, though positive. Much like joy is contagious, or laughter is contagious, or in a more neutral stance, yawns are contagious. So the more people who are in their heart energy, operating from their soul, coming from that highest aligned frequency, the more that is seeded on the planet, the more that spreads. Think of how many people follow the crowd. On another note with this, if most of the crowd began to operate from the heart, from highest alignment, where do you think those who followed the crowd would begin to operate from? They would see that and go, oh, is that what we're doing? Okay, I guess I can stop being mean now. At least some people. There might be outliers who choose to be rude anyways, and you can wish them well and move on your way and set boundaries where needed and bring in the reality you'd like to see around you. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to go to their level. You do not even have to berate them or correct them. Focus on you. Focus on your world. The shift will get to them at the right time through the people that are meant to reach them, if at all. The other thing is, even if you aren't impacting them, but you are leaving seeds, energetic templates, and assistance to allow the right people you're meant to help to get there. That could include younger generations or people who will impact younger generations. And that could mean that as the younger generations begin to take over, if you will, a lot of those older energies, stuffier energies, hard-hearted energies will die off more quickly as the younger generations who have got to a more evolved place and frequency begin to take over. We are not saying that will be an overnight thing or the next generation will do all of that. It could be over time. But trust that because of that, what you are seeding here and who you are impacting, that matters and has a ripple effect and really does help things. So that is another reason we will encourage you to seed the energy you're meant to seed here and to operate from your heart and your soul and be that example and be that metaphorical lighthouse and not worry about the people you can't reach right now. It might not be your role. Spirit has a plan. You're not part of that one in that way, and that's okay. You'll be much happier in the plan that's for you. Whatever version of the plan you're in. It's not set in stone. It doesn't have to look one way. So, what can you do to operate from your heart more? And one more thing. We've split this into 3 topics: heart energy, glitching, and now, perhaps an elephant in the room for some of you. Let's talk a bit more about your old reality. Or those of you facing insurmountable challenges, which won't be all of you, of course. We would say if you are in a good place, stay in a good place. You do not need to bring yourself down for anyone, and it does not necessarily help the collective for you to bring yourself down to a lower vibrational place or to a challenged place when you did not need to be there. You might be called to hold the higher frequencies so that other people can climb up at their own time. We would argue that your life matters, and you being in peace in your life and you being in joy in your life is very powerful, and it matters to you and the world. So do not discount your life and think you need to throw a good time away for others who are suffering. You can stay in a good place and help them from there, but don't intentionally bring yourself down. Again, you might be anchoring the higher frequencies, and that matters. However, for the group we were talking to, is there anything you can shift within you to begin to move out of the insurmountable challenges? Do you literally just need space for yourself? Do you just need a timeout? Where is the space for you? Now is the time to ask yourself what you need. Keep it really simple. Perhaps even the bare minimum. Perhaps even very basic. What do you need? How can you give yourself more of that? Who can you turn to? What can you turn to? What support can you bring in for yourself? Now is not the time to try to force your way through, especially if this has been going on for some time. You're in some sort of insurmountable challenge. Now's the time to reach out for help. And now is the time to allow yourself to receive help. One of the ways out of some of your insurmountable challenges is giving to yourself and receiving that as you can. For some of you, it is literally taking care of you. That will help. Really put your focus on what will shift it. You don't have to stay in it. And it will shift. You will not be there forever. It will not be your whole life. It is not meant to be your whole life. Just you have that in your awareness as you move forward. So what can you shift right now? It is time. While we realize that may not have solved it or completely erased your problem, or perhaps you feel more lost, some of you, call in what you need to shift it every day. Work on your self-healing. Work on everything you can think of. Give to yourself. We're going to let you go there. As far as that last bit, may that begin to shift things for you in the right ways so you can be free. And for the rest of you, may your heart energy flourish, and may you begin to receive, or even glitch to, a life that you truly would love and like to live. We wish you well. We wish you love. We wish you peace. We wish you abundance. And we will leave you there. Signing out for now, the Angelic Collective of Zorbital and Source. Farewell. Okay. Thanks, Patrick the Squirrel. I love that username. Ooh. You're welcome, Lottie. Okay, so I hope that really just did whatever was for the highest good for it to do. You're so welcome, Leo. Thanks, Daria. Oh, thanks, Spirit of Love. You're welcome, Britt. I appreciate it, Michelle. Very cool. I think I sometimes have to like click on YouTube chat to see if anyone commented, so. Okay, I hope the mic hasn't been going in and out on YouTube. I hope that was just one person. Perfect. Glad to hear it, Melody. Oh. I have to solve capture, guys, real quick. 1 second. Can I do this? Do I have the brain power? I do. I did it. I did it, guys. YouTube was glitching. No. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I'll have to figure out what's going on with YouTube and the mic and stuff. But I'm glad TikTok was working. Totally perfect divine timing. Yeah, I'm glad we got done right before it. Or just before. Yeah, before it. I appreciate it, Michelle. All right, guys. Anything else before I start to close this down? Can I upload the YouTube video, TikTok video to YouTube? I can. I absolutely can. It just won't. It might not sound as good as YouTube usually does, but I can do it. Yeah, and it'll just be the view you had. I know, like the TikTok view. I have this huge selenite here. I didn't even realize was there when I started. You could see some of the other like equipment going on here, but yeah, we can do that if that'll work better. There's some parts that had no audio at all. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, Mercury retrograde. All right. Well, I'll look into that. Okay. Thanks, Sarah C's. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. This has been fun. This has been good. All right. I'll let you guys go. TikTok was 100%. Thank you. You're welcome. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week. And, you know, if you ever want to go deeper with my work, you can check out my website, brandonhbloom.com. And I've got one-on-one readings and one-on-one channeled intuitive mentoring. And there's a membership with a lot of content that's channeled and stuff like that. And that's there if you feel called to it. There's other things too, but it's all on the website. So I'll just kind of let that find you if you feel called to look into it. Thanks, Dee. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. All right, guys, send in love and well wishes, and I'll probably be back next week. And I hope I don't have to buy a new cable for this mic on YouTube, but I'm gonna kind of start to close this down here. Okay, so bye, YouTube. Thank you. You have a good day. Okay, and I don't need this. Ooh. Okay, guys, you take care.